Good evening. Good to have you here tonight. Um, we've got a special speaker that's going to be sharing with us, so I don't want to take much of her time. But I will say this Crystal, this is Crystal Spire that's going to be sharing. I had an opportunity, I don't know how long ago that was, Crystal, 2, 3, 4 years ago, to spend part of a day working with her at her workplace. So I had an opportunity to see her at work, and she's based out of. I think you live up here, but your office and everything's based down in Olathe, right by the courthouse. So I had the opportunity, and let me tell you, she knows what she's doing. So David, um, you know, has the last year of all this coronavirus, I mean, has it gotten you discouraged? Have you felt lonely? Have you felt isolated or any of that kind of stuff, anxiety? Okay, she's going to fix you tonight. I don't know if I'm overselling it or not, but she's going to come up here and she is going to be sharing some very useful things to her. So I'm glad about this. As a matter of fact, it was a little while back that Crystal approached us and asked if there was some means by which she could be of service. And we were just thrilled to hear that. And it's a perfect example of the very thing we've been talking about the last 2 Sunday mornings, as far as having a servant's heart and just using what God has equipped you with, to serve others in Christ's name. And so we're thrilled to have Crystal come and share. So I'm going to go ahead and have a prayer, and then Crystal, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Okay? Let's pray. Father, we are thankful for tonight. We're thankful for this opportunity we have to be able to gather in your name. And I just pray that you will use this time to do a good work within each one of us. And just give Crystal the words to share and all that could be a benefit, not only to those that are gathered here in this room, but to those who will end up watching this video in the days to come. And Father, I just pray that you would use this time, you would use her for your glory, to be able to touch lives and to be able to bring about the kind of change and healing that may very well be needed in a big way right now. It's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. All right, it's all yours.
Well, no pressure. I'm going to fix everybody tonight, so get ready. No, I think it's too much. Better? COVID's affect everybody. I love how you started out and said, I'm being honest. Absolutely, you should be honest, because we're all in this storm. I think I heard it somewhere, we're all in the same storm, we're just in different boats, which I think is kind of true. Like, we are experiencing this storm together, but we all have different things that are bothering us about this storm. We all have different challenges that affect us in this storm. And I think it's good to recognize that it's not misery loves company, it's comfort in numbers. We're all in it together. We just have to help each other out in our low spots, because your low spot might be my high spot and vice versa. And so I think it's important for us to see that first and foremost, because fixing COVID is not a thing. Fixing somebody who's been through COVID can't be a thing. It's figuring out how to work through this and get through it. You can't get over something, you have to get through something, is kind of how I think in mental health. I think with trauma, you think, how can you take that away from somebody? Well, you can't. We are our experiences, and people can go through terrible things in life, and they can come out a better, more well-rounded, stronger person, all because of the way they've processed it. So all of this, when we look back one day, we're gonna be like, oh, thank God we went through COVID. Because we're better people because of it. No, maybe not that far, but one day we will be through this and we'll be feeling better about it. And I watched Brad's little thing on Facebook Live right before this, and it said, light at the end of the tunnel, and I couldn't be more true. There is so much light at the end of this tunnel at this point. Like months ago, I was like, let's just hope for 2022. And now, honestly, like, we might be doing a lot better by the summer. Like, to me, that's like bonus. That's not even what I had in my head. So to me, that's a good thing. Somebody want to volunteer and tell me one way that COVID's affecting them, either throughout this year or right now or starting to wear? Does anybody have something that they think stands out to them? You lost your job. There's a huge rippling effect to that. When you lose your job because of something that's out of your control. Somebody else? I thought I heard somebody over here. Yeah.
I was just going to say the personal aspect of it, the closeness that we used to kind of share, that we're in the standoffish mode now. We don't know how to approach people.
Right. Right. When I saw Brad tonight, I was like, hey, I'm not sure. Like, I know I can't shake your hand, but you don't know what to do. It's awkward. It's weird, which when you start your first impression with awkward and weird, it does affect the rest of the conversation. It does affect how close you feel to somebody. What about when you walk into a grocery store? If you see somebody walk up behind you that doesn't have a mask on, do you even think about it? Do you think about it? I think everybody's aware of where everybody's at in that grocery store if they're in the same aisle as you. I had one client say, and that lady went right over my head and grabbed a spice. And I was like, seriously? I'm right here. Why are you so close to me? I just had to laugh because a year ago, that would not have been a conversation I would have had in therapy. But it's something that's real. And it's such a weird thing because why is it so real? Why? It's hypervigilance. We are hyper aware of what's going on in our environment all the time right now. And because it's lasted so long, it's became a brain thing. So our brain has learned this. We've taught our brain how to react in public. What about when you used to have, constant things every week activity-wise? All of a sudden they were just shut off. What did that do to everybody? We had social events. No, not anymore. We could meet over Zoom. That's not the same. That's not a thing. It is now. Therapy over Zoom. It's not great. But therapy in person, that's not great either because everybody has to wear a mask. So none of it's great, but we have to figure out a way, right? What about loneliness? Has anybody experienced loneliness during this last year? Feeling like you have to stay home all the time? Because, I used to go to the grocery store to get away from my kids and relax, and that can't happen anymore because that is not relaxing now, especially when they had the arrows, right? I had more anxiety leaving the grocery store because I went down the wrong aisle and a lady said, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know." Don't yell at me. I was trying to find some peace at the grocery store. It's not a thing anymore. There's not an environment right now that's not affected. I think the time that it hit me that COVID was super serious is when I read that the Olympics were canceled. I was like, what? The Olympics are canceled? No. They wouldn't cancel the Olympics over a sickness that's in California only. It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. I think there's a lot of things like that people have started recognizing. March Madness was canceled last year, right? That was giant for half the population. No, for everybody. I was worried about it too. But it was those types of big things are what made us realize maybe this is a big deal. But those are the memories or those are the things that your brain tags that says this is a big deal, even though maybe you don't know anybody yet, or you know somebody that knew somebody that knows somebody that thinks they had it, but they didn't go get tested because they didn't want to be tested because they didn't want anybody to know that they had it. That was how it started. And now it's, no, they're all in their house because they had COVID. Nope, 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll go put a pie out in their front yard. It's become that close to home now. And so it's become more prevalent in our brains. I have a handout, but first, do you want to put up my first slide? I saw this last night. Did anybody else see this? Last night, 2020 gave me such trust issues that a tornado on a perfectly sunny Tuesday seemed reasonable. I legit looked down at my phone yesterday, and that alarm came through, and I was like, what? Looked out the back window, I was like, oh, it's sunny. Then I heard the alarm, and I was like, what? So I tried to click on the alert, because some of my trauma is weather, by the way. So I tried to click on the alert, and it wouldn't pop up, and I was like, I don't know. So I go flying down my staircase, and about that time, my husband's like, I just sent you a link, statewide alarm. I was like, a little late, dude. I already had a panic attack. So, but it was sunny out. I was like, why is this messing with me? And then I saw that, and I literally laughed out loud. I was like, that is so true. Like, it affects us beyond COVID talk. It affects us beyond politics talk. Our whole world has been so separated during all of this, and we have to turn it around at some point. And how do we do that? How do we make the turnaround? How long did it take us to get here? Year? So in trauma therapy, we say, think of how long you've been traumatized. Now divide that by 2. Work at it that long, and odds are you're going to be pretty good. That's if life doesn't happen again. But life continues to happen, and so you have to realize that it's not a turnaround overnight. It's going to take a lot of time for us to slow our brains down and recognize the fear is less because here's where we're at, and here's how I know. We can get out in public and do this because I feel safe in these ways. And doing that, it's understanding that this is not what's wrong with us. Why are we so hypervigilant? Or why are we so lonely? Or why are we, it's what's happened to us. And so I'm a brain person. I love the brain. I find it very fascinating. And so I've done a lot of my continuing education on understanding what trauma does to the brain. And so that's where I'm going to kind of tie you guys in and help you guys understand kind of what COVID has done to the brain. I have a handout for everybody. I don't know how many people are here. I don't know that I can take off and go hand these out, but oh, I didn't give you as many, so sorry. Oops, it's gonna fall. Got it? Oh, can I have one? Just so I can look at it too. Thank you. So what we experience is not, in the midst of me doing therapy, I see a lot of variety of people, of course. I see what I call severe trauma, where I see people that go from seeing me on a weekly basis to possibly going inpatient for a while. Then they come back out, and then they go inpatient for a while, and they come back out and they see me. And that's kind of how things go for them. Then I see people who have went through something severe, and they got to get through it. Say a divorce, let's say lost a child. I just had a client reach out to me today that's lost 2 children, so we're gonna start working through that. Those are giant traumas. When you put it in the scope of that, and we start comparing it, as a therapist, I'm like, this isn't that big, but still trauma. Trauma is trauma. And so you don't get, as a therapist, I don't get to decide how it affects people. I just have to help people through whatever traumas they're working on or whatever traumas they've been through. I had a client one time that had been in and out of foster care, had a family try to adopt them and then decide they didn't want to adopt them, so put them back into foster care. And he had been through physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, you name it, that kid's been through it. Then I had another kid in the same hospital. His parents were separated. They literally had a lot of the same characteristics. And as a brand new clinician, I thought, how in the world is this kid struggling so much when you have this other kid over here who's been through close to dying at times, and they look the same on paper? How is that possible? Because trauma affects everybody differently. And so however this is affecting you, don't be ashamed of it. It affects you. Own it. I say own it, because the quicker you own what's bothering you, the quicker you're going to get on top of it and work through it. You're scared of heights? Own it. You're scared of storms? Own it. I don't drive when there's clouds. It is what it is. No, it's not that bad. But you have to own it, because if you don't recognize it and you ignore it, then you're never going to target it, and you're never going to work through it, and you're never going to get through it, in other words, to get on the other side of things, so that we don't feel this way anymore, because it's not fun for any of us. So this is an image of what kind of the brain does. You have a stimulus come into the brain, and it goes to your thalamus, sensory thalamus. All your information comes in, it goes straight to your sensory thalamus. Then your sensory thalamus decides where it's going from there. I'll make this pretty simple. A very fast reaction, the very lowest one is called, it's the fastest path, and it's a quick reaction. It's that jerk reaction. You don't think, you react. It comes from your brainstem. You don't go to your frontal lobe and you say, I think this is scary, so I'm going to run. Your brain does it like that, and you run. If you see a bear in the woods, you don't get to decide, I think I read somewhere that you're supposed to like lay down and play dead. Or if you climb a tree, you'll be fine. Or if you run really fast or act really big, you don't get to reflect. Your brain just does it, and it does it so fast that you don't get to decide. But if you survive and that ever happens to you again, your brain will do the exact same thing, but quicker this time, because you've already practiced once. And so it becomes a patterned response. You can see that in kids that have been, we'll use severe traumas just so you guys can see the stereotypicals that seem pretty obvious. Severe traumas, they get very quick at understanding when something bad's gonna happen. They can catch it like that, and they will react. They don't think, I think I just heard my dad's door slam. It's really late. What does that mean? He already knows what that means. He means he's probably gonna get beat. So he automatically hides under his bed on that night. And he'll do it quicker and quicker and quicker. And then pretty soon that will generalize, and the teacher will come in and accidentally let go of that door too quickly, and that door will slam. And he doesn't hide under his desk, but he tenses up. Because it's now, that response is now generalized over population. It's generalized over different locations. And he doesn't mean to, and he probably doesn't even know he does it, but his brain does it for him. So in essence, that's the fast path. That's the path when we're walking in Walmart and somebody walks up behind us, we automatically are like, why are you so close to me? Like, you automatically respond. Or you are sitting at home and somebody knocks on your door. Nobody should be coming to our house right now. It's COVID times. Who comes to your house at COVID? Like, any public area, somebody's walking to the bathroom in a restaurant, why did they not put their mask on? You know, when you get up from your table, you have to put your mask on before you walk to the bathroom. Like, how inconsiderate of them. All those things. People have responses for everything right now. And it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker the longer we're in this. So the next option is your hippocampus. Your hippocampus holds all your memories. Well, we tap into that, and then we still react the same way, because what are our memories from the last year? Better be aware. There's fear. Be fearful. It's out there. It's like that silent storm that you can't see. It's there, and you don't know when it's going to hit you. You will possibly still react the same way, even if you hit your hippocampus, unless you can tap into positive memories, unless you can slow your brain down enough to go up to that cortex and reflect on, why am I safe right now? Why is this okay? Why is this environment an okay environment to be in? Why do I feel like I'm not gonna get COVID today? Have we ever thought of that? Like, we always worry about getting COVID, but have we ever thought of all the days that maybe we haven't gotten COVID this year? I've met 365 at this point, I feel like. So if we can think of those things, then you can process better. That is a very slow path, though. When you're talking about the brain, that's your slowest path. Your slowest path is hitting your hippocampus, figuring out how to find a positive, going up to your cortex, your frontal lobe, finding abstract thinking that you can do, process it, and then react in a more appropriate way. Or try to change your reaction. That's even harder. How do I not flinch when that person's behind me trying to grab the spice over my arm? Like, how do you not do that? You gotta slow your brain down. It's hard to do. That's why I said this is gonna take a little while for us to recover from all of the things that we've been through in the last year. When all of this came out, do you guys remember how fast the world shut down? Like We're talking 7 days. I stopped seeing, clients were calling me left and right. I don't think I can come in today. I'm like, okay, I guess I haven't looked at the news yet today. Is there more going on? They're like, everything's shutting down. Everything. Really? Huh. I just got back from Jamaica. I didn't think there was anything wrong out there. Like, I literally went to Jamaica last February and got back and the whole world shut down. And I couldn't, faster than I could even recover from my trip I was just on. And when things like that happen and it's that big of a change in our life and that many things, it's traumatic. It's trauma. I know trauma is a weird cliche word that people don't like to use because it's a mental health word and mental health makes everybody uncomfortable and all the things, but it's true. Anytime you go through anything, it's traumatic. If it changes your life, if it changes the way you respond, if it changes the way you look at something, if it changes the way that you view people, it's traumatic. Own it. Be okay with it, because the quicker you are okay with it, the quicker we can move on to, let's solve this problem. Let's try to get on top of this again. So the really slow path that you see that says slower on the outside there, that I always tell people that's the path where you don't need therapy anymore. You don't have to tap into your memories. You don't have to say, is this a good situation? Is this a bad one? I remember that one time. Oh, but there is some good stuff. I mean, look at us. We're social distanced here. We're all in our own little areas, so I feel kind of safe. You don't have to do that. You automatically know it's safe. This is a pre-COVID line right here, where you didn't even think about how close you were to somebody. You didn't think about somebody walking up next to you or somebody walking into the store and they don't have a mask on, or somebody getting too close to you, or what activity you can't go to because it's not working right now because of, well, you can't get that close to people. So you can't do whatever, basketball. Those things were never a thing, but now they are. So that's the slow route. We will get there someday, but it's going to take a lot of time. Does that make sense to anybody? I know it's brain stuff, but I'm a map person. Like, I like to see images. So when I can see something and be like, oh, that's what the brain looks like in layman's terms. Like, I feel better about it. So that's kind of how our brain works. And there's nothing against it. I mean, if you were to see a bear in the woods and then you went to a zoo a week later, I promise you, when that bear starts walking towards you, even though there's bars in front of it, your whole body will jump because you just experienced something so traumatic. And then your brain will kick in. You'll go to your cortex, your frontal lobe, and you'll be like, I'm in a zoo. There's bars. It's fine. I hope nobody saw me jump. That was embarrassing. And you'll walk on. But we still are in this. We're still experiencing it. So it's really hard to tell your brain, don't worry. Quit stressing. Let's just go to their house. I mean, they have 3 children that are in 3 different schools. I'm sure they don't have it. I mean, there's no exposure there. Or they're in 2 different daycares. No one wants to hang out with me. Like, my kids are in 2 different daycares. So they have 2 different classrooms, 2 different facilities that are, every week there's an email that comes out. There was a parent that has it. This classroom's been exposed. Your kid's fine. Okay. But how ironic is it that I was supposed to do this in February and my youngest got exposed? So I couldn't leave my house. So I was like, how ironic, Mark. I'm going to do a COVID talk and I can't be there because of COVID. So it's not gone. Yeah, I had to put it on Zoom. That is just lacks luster in my opinion, but it's where we're at in life. So it's not gone. That's the other trick, is that we want people to start working on this, but it's not over. So you don't want you to go out and be like, oh, like the therapist that fixed me last night, she said, don't worry about it, it's fine. No, you should still take a lot of precautions. I mean, it'd be silly not to, especially if you have anything that you're worried about. I think I think Brad said today also, some of the things we do, it's not for us. It's for other people. It's for the people that we are worried about in this world. It's the people who have asthma. It's the people who have, heart conditions, people who have lung conditions, people who are elderly, people who are super young. Like, I know of a baby that got it, and oh my goodness, how sad. Like, it was so sad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be around babies. Just in case I might have it. I mean, I haven't been around anybody in like 3 months, but in case I have it, I don't want to be around a baby. Like, I'm not taking that risk. Like, don't put that on me. I didn't see my family, my side of the family, for 6 months because my mom can't get it. Like, no, she can't get this. And I have kids in 2 different daycares, like I said. Like, no one wants to be around me. So you all should take precautions. But how do we slow our brain down enough so that we can enjoy life still and not have to always worry? I don't know. No, I'm kidding. And that's the end of my speech. No, I'm kidding. No, the key is we're going to start slowing our brain down and asking questions. Ask a question. This, honestly, mental health, little secret. It's not brain science. It's not rocket science. It's not that hard. It's repetition, it's commitment, and it's routine. And that's where people fall short, is they're like, it's a lot of work. I'm like, but it's worth it, because once it becomes routine, you'll just do it. So I have people create cheat sheets. Cheat sheets on what? Healthy coping skills. Who has a healthy coping skill that they'd like to share with everybody? Perfect. What do you do when you turn off the TV? Stuff coming in. Right. Anybody else? Geez, we got a lot to learn. No, go ahead. Exercise. I always tell people exercise is a big one. That's a big one. In so many ways, it's so helpful, but it's also one that a lot of people fall short on because they're like, it's a lot of work to exercise, so I'm just going to not. And COVID is a really good excuse to not, because you can't go anywhere, right? Exercise is a good one. Anybody else? Mindfulness. Oh man, I've never taught as much mindfulness as I have till right now. COVID has really taught me. Mindfulness has its place, I'll tell you that. Anybody else? Somebody over here had one. COVID dogs. COVID dogs are awesome. Yes, I did read an article that said COVID dogs are going to be a mess when everybody has to go back to work, though. They're going to have severe separation anxiety, is what I read. I was like, oh, send them my way. I got more clients coming in. No, but I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. They have you there all the time. So when you do leave, they'll have an adjustment phase. But yeah, animals. Animals are awesome. I actually have a therapy dog that I take to work. He used to take to work. COVID's kind of slowed down her processing of training because, well, she hasn't trained in a year. So now she's just a house dog that eats all the time. So someday she's going to get back into training and she's going to be this awesome therapy dog again. Walking, yoga, biking, processing, just chatting with a friend. I don't care if it's on Zoom, to be honest. Talking about things, I don't care if you talk about the weather, you talk about anything from lighthearted to deep stuff, talking to somebody. It's a bond we don't have right now that's close to us that we can do, so do it in any way you can. A phone call, a FaceTime, a Zoom call, talking to people you trust. And I keep a lot of my conversations really lighthearted right now because I don't want to argue with people. Like, that's the last thing I want to do. I just want to bond with them. I just want to hang out and like have happy thoughts and think happy thoughts instead of the stressful things that everybody's thinking about. So keep it light if you have to, but talk to as many people as you can talk to. I was getting my COVID vaccine, and there was like some EMTs standing with me. We're all standing outside. And I was like, you guys are all EMTs? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, good, in case I have a reaction. And the guy's like, I'm off duty. I'm gonna be like, she couldn't make it. I was like, oh, that's terrible. But I left there and I told my husband, I said, I had the best time talking to these people. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, I don't talk to people anymore. Like, unless it's for work or my poor husband has to talk to me. That's about all the people I get to talk to these days. And he's not much of a talker. So I was so excited to talk to random strangers standing in line to get a vaccination. It was literally the highlight of my day, which is so sad. Because life didn't used to be that way, you know? Like, I'm a social butterfly. I love talking to people, but that's been on the back burner all year. Who else feels that way? Who else loves to talk to people but hasn't had the chance in a year? It's lonely.
I work at two stadiums, and I'm used to meeting 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 people a game or so.
Right.
That I worked at for almost 11 years, and we make it a point to hook up, and that, however many times a season that happens, that's probably why I'm here listening to some of the stuff that you have to say, so I can in turn take that back and hopefully pass it on, like Brad said, it'd be a blessing for me to use. I can just do nothing but mention, listening to you. But yeah, that's my biggest. And I think talking is the best thing a person can do anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. My husband doesn't. He's always asking me why I'm still talking, but I think it's healthy.
Found out after all these years that people come to the stadium, they're bored. They come to watch a game, pay a lot of money to drink beer and eat hot dogs, and they'd rather stand and talk to an usher.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I bet you have great stories.
And they want to make sure they say hi to you. So it's a struggle on those folks too when we meet up at the stadium.
Right. I've learned that you can't just smile at somebody anymore. You don't get to make eye contact and smile because no one sees your smile. You're covered up with a mask. And I do that, and then I'm like, I have to be verbal. You can't, there's no nonverbal communication that you can give people in public anymore. That's another area that we're lacking. So it's another area that we don't receive as well. It's not just that we're lacking giving it, we don't receive it either. And that's something that, as much as we can say, oh, it's gonna be over, it'll be fine, it affects us. It affects us because it's not our norm. Anything that's not your norm is going to affect you. So I tell people, make a cheat sheet. There's no easy way through this. There's no, just do this and it'll be fine. Like, that's not how mental health works. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it. Make cheat sheets. What can you do for coping skills? And I tell people, when you're having a tough day and you're struggling, you go through that list and you check it off. If it's not working, go to the next thing, go to the next thing. And the bigger, longer that list is, the better off you're gonna be. Coping, deep breathing, reflecting, positive self-talk. I read a quote that said, you spend a lot of your time in your own head, so why not make it a nice place to be? I was like, touche. Yeah. Reflecting, yes. Reflecting on positive things. It's powerful. It can be very powerful, for sure. Did somebody else have their hand up? I thought I saw. No, that was just my eyes. Listening to music, singing. If you're having a bad day, turn a good song on. Like, if you're a music person, if you like music. Read a book. Listen to an audiobook. I have become weirdly obsessed with listening to audiobooks because my mind doesn't wander. I'm doing normal, like laundry, vacuuming, like things around the house, and my mind's like always wondering to, oh man, like I wish I could go see my family, or I wish I could hang out with my friends, or I feel like we never see anybody anymore, or I really hate that I have to do virtual therapy. I don't feel like I'm helping my patients as much. And instead, I turn on an audiobook and my brain can channel out for a little bit. And I don't have to go there and always feed those negative things in my head of negative reflection. So avoid the negative reflection. I'm not saying don't be aware of what you're doing and how you're acting around people and what you're doing in public, But you don't have to always fill your day with reflecting on it and always filling that time with, this sucks. Well, yeah, it does. But let's not be there. Let's think about some of the good things that we have. Like, it could be worse. Like, I've done that a lot. Like, this could be worse. Like, I have to stay in my house for 2 weeks with my children. But it could be worse. I'm not sure how. No, it could be way worse. Like, I still have food. I still have water. Like, I've had the pleasure of working with such a spectrum of people that I can do that pretty easily, because I've worked with some people that I'm like, wow, I'm just happy you're alive, to be honest. Like, you should just go home and be proud of yourself that you've survived this long. So I've worked with enough people that I can be like, you know what? This could be worse. I need to just pick up my chin and quit feeling sorry for myself. Takes a lot of strategy to do that, though. When you're feeling lonely and you're feeling low, you've got to start backing up all of those things with coping skills. Pray, meditate. I have people who are like, I can't meditate. I'm like, are you religious? Oh, yeah. Pray. A prayer in the evening can mimic a meditation, because you are doing you're doing a lot of the things that a meditation is going to walk you through anyways. You're slowing your brain down. You're relaxing yourself. You're finding the positives in your day. You're leaning on the best thing you could lean on. Praying's so powerful. It's how I end my nights. I mean, I sit there and I thank God. I mean, thank God we're healthy right now. Like, praying can be very powerful. I use it a lot with people, and I'm like, do it. Like, try it. Not religious? I don't know, try it. I mean, he don't care how you talk to him. I mean, whatever. I can't push it on people, of course, but you know what I mean. Let me think. Some other ones I wrote down here. Reading positive quotes. Does anybody have Pinterest? No? Nobody has Pinterest. Okay, I was like, what? I'm not that young. Pinterest, if you go into Pinterest quotes or you just write in the search bar, you can Google it for all that matters. You don't need Pinterest. Google motivational quotes. Just start scrolling through them and reading them. And it just makes you just appreciate, or be like, you know, I can do this another day. I got this. I can say hi to somebody. I don't have to non-verbally smile and make it awkward. Like, you can verbally say hi to somebody, make them feel awkward, but you are the happy one. But positive quotes a lot of times will get you a long ways. Journaling, but directional journaling. Don't sit and write all the bad things that are going on right now. Some therapists say you need to get it out, which I agree. You do need to get it out. However, if you just journal about all the bad things, you're going to want to journal tomorrow? I mean, that was not fun. All I did was make myself feel worse as I reflected on all the bad things. If you're going to do that, the end of your journaling needs to be 5 things that are positive in your life. 5 things that you feel blessed to have in your life. How are you, problem solving this problem? So at the end of it, at least, it's positive. You have to have a positive turn at the end of those things. It's okay to feel sorry for yourself. It's okay to cry. It's okay to sit and mourn all of this and be sad about it. But at the end of those sections, you have to end it in a positive light so it doesn't consume your whole day. I tell people it's like opening the box, feel all the feelings, close the box, open the positive box, take on your day. Because if you don't, it's your whole day. It will take over your whole day. And that is what we have started feeling, because it's everywhere. It's not just at the grocery store. It's when you turn on the news, the person giving you a broadcast has a mask on her face or in his face. Like, it's everywhere. You can't see something that doesn't reflect COVID right now. You can look at news from the other side of the world and they're giving you an update on COVID. And you're like, man, yeah, everybody's talking about it, I guess. That's all I can talk about. Or not. Or you could talk about other things. Or we could talk about the positive things of life. The fact that we're all sitting here. It was a beautiful day today. Talk about that. Find the good. Journal about the good. Because when you write it down, the reason cliche therapists say you should journal, you should write your thoughts down. It's because repetition is the key for your brain. You have a thought, it crosses your brain once. You write it down, it crosses your brain twice. You reflect on it, it crosses your brain 3 times. You don't see somebody not practice a free throw before a heavy game that there's going to be pressure on. They practice. It's repetition is the key. It's the same thing for your brain. That's why I tell people to create cheat sheets, because they're just cheat sheets until you got it memorized, until it becomes repetition to your brain, and that's when it becomes your pattern. Having a crappy day, gonna turn on a good song. Kind of not feeling great, gonna read some quotes. Feeling kind of lonely, I'm gonna reach out to somebody and just say hi. I don't have to tell them I'm feeling lonely. I don't have to tell them why I called them. I can just say, what are you doing today? Oh, nothing? Me neither. That's terrible. That's it though. Comfort in numbers. I mean, it is. It's not misery loves company, because we don't have to be miserable together, and we don't have to put each other down and hope that somebody's worse off than we are. But we can be there for each other, and we can feel comfortable in the fact that we're all doing this together. Some are going to struggle with loneliness. Some are going to struggle with anxiety that's going to eat them alive right now because of the fear of that unknown virus that could be in this room right now. It's real. I've worked with people every day that have both of those extremes. And I tell people it depends on how your brain's wired. If you tend to go low, you're going to suffer a lot more with the loneliness side and the feeling like you're all alone and feeling like you're depressed. And I mean, there's a reason why suicide rates have went up during this year by a lot. The only positive I will say about that is it took COVID for people to talk about mental health. What? A global pandemic, and everybody's like, but have we talked about mental health? Like, look at you guys talking about mental health. We're on the map now, but it took a global pandemic. So it's serious, it's real. I have a weird personality because I deal with this stuff every day, so I either laugh or you cry. So it's serious, it's real, and we have to take it seriously. But you don't always have to be in that moment. You can pull yourself out of it and you can enjoy a day. You can allow yourself to not be consumed with COVID. And it comes down to making it a purposeful thing. You have to make yourself do it. It's not going to come to you because the whole environment is filled with COVID. That came out wrong, but you know what I mean. Hanging out with your you said you had animals. That was my last one. Hanging out with your animals. Animals are so therapeutic. I'm careful who I recommend it to because I want to make sure they can actually take care of the animal. But when it's the right time, I'm like, do you like dogs or cats? You should get an animal. Like, it'll help you feel better. They're very therapeutic. They love you. They don't walk in a bad mood. They're not sad. They're never sad. They're not worried about COVID. So they're always loving. They're always accepting of you. And they love you for who you are, no matter what kind of mood you're in. Can't say that about my spouse. No. But my dog always is happy to see me. So, I mean, it's a different level. It's a different level of bonding. My husband loves me, you guys, I swear. I just throw him under the bus a lot. The next thing that you want to create like a cheat sheet about, I tell people to get a little notebook. Just get a notebook, put it someplace, and do these things, and keep it in the notebook so it's handy for you. Self-care. You have to take care of yourself. I would say everybody except for on my client list, because I don't see people outside of that really. On my client list, I would say everybody except for my teenage boys have all gained weight. Across the board, COVID weight. Somebody said, we call it the COVID-15. I'm like freshman 15? Like college? Is that what you're doing with this? And she's like, yeah, that's what we call it. I'm like, oh. She's in college, so that's why they say that, I guess. But showering. Get yourself a new shampoo, a new conditioner, a new body wash, because you smell it again. When you think of self-care, you want to think of all of your senses. And if all of your senses are triggered, you're taking care of yourself better. So brand new shampoo, brand new conditioner, brand new body wash, new scents. Get a new cologne, get a new perfume. Get a lotion that has aromatherapy in it. And it doesn't make you smile, it's like this. It's like a smirk, you know? Like, it just makes you go, I now have coconut hibiscus in my office. Why? Because it smells like summer. Who doesn't want to be in summer in the middle of February? So when I'm talking to clients and I'm letting them talk, I put on my coconut hibiscus lotion and I can smell it. And it really does just make you go, it's fine. I got this. It's the little things. Self-care is not all the big things. It's the tiny things. Light a candle that smells good in your house. Make it smell like your house is clean, even if your house isn't clean. It's a trick to your brain, and your brain will be like, you can sit down. Your house smells clean. So you don't feel like you have to do it. Let me think. What are the other ones I wrote down here? Open your windows. Let the sunshine come in. Vitamin D. It's a big deal. Most people I talk to, I say, it's winter, you should be taking a vitamin D supplement. You don't get enough vitamin D in the winter. The sun doesn't come out enough times in a row to get the benefits out of it. So you do need vitamin D. Open your windows, let the sunshine come in. Open your windows if it's snowing. I hate snow, but when you're inside, it's kind of peaceful to look at. I'm not a winter person. I will not miss winter when I move to Florida someday. But that's neither here nor there right now. So it's still winter, even though it was 70 degrees today. If you're a bath person, set up a nice bath. Get the candles. Get yourself a book. Read a book. Sit there for a while and enjoy being there. Yummy coffees in the morning. Treat yourself once in a while. I think we've been treating ourselves a little much during COVID times, which is why everybody's gained a little weight. But you know what? We're getting through it. It'll be fine. Hearty breakfast. Start your day off with a good breakfast. Start your day off feeling motivated. Do your journaling in the morning when you wake up. Take care of yourself and get yourself with the attitude that I can do this again today. And it's okay. And yes, there's COVID and it's going to be here for a while, but go through all the reasons why you're going to be okay, and then start your day. Maybe you start your day with a nice prayer. Maybe you start your day with a workout, she said exercising. That would be great. I don't get up early enough to do that, but some people do, which is really good. Make realistic goals for yourself. You can't say, I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 2 months. No, you're not. I have clients coming in, they're like, I have all these New Year's resolutions. And I'm like, okay, let me know how that goes. I don't want to say I don't believe in New Year's resolutions, but I believe in setting goals throughout the whole year. Why does January have to be the month that you set a goal for yourself? Set a goal for yourself in March, but set them realistic and the more detailed they are and the smaller steps you have in those goals, the more successful you're going to feel. Therefore, the more motivated you're going to be to do the next step. So break them down. Put lots, so you can do fun little check marks and you can look at it and reflect and be positive and feel good about yourself. Your internal dialogue, the way you look at yourself, is half your battle. Organize something in your house. We're stuck at home. I've started painting the inside of my house. And I mentioned it to my husband, and then 2 weeks later, I mentioned it again, and the next day I was like, I'm starting it tomorrow. He's like, whoa, I thought we were just talking about this. I'm like, nope, I'm done talking about it. I sit in a room that needs painted every single day now because my office is a bedroom, and I want it painted. So I just started knocking out rooms every weekend, which was weirdly awesome because he was on 4- and 6-year-old duty, and I was painting, and it was very therapeutic. So I enjoyed it. He was ready for me to be done, or maybe you don't want to paint. Maybe you just want to organize something that you literally have to look at every day that makes you feel like this house isn't what I want it to be. That's so unorganized. So fix it. Set it as a goal. Do half of it. Do one section of it. Knock it out. The key to all of these things, though, is you have to be proud of yourself. You have to love who you are. It starts with you. I tell a lot of my low self-esteem clients, my teenage girls or my young 20 girls, I'm like, if you don't love who you are, how do you expect other people to? You have to love you. You have to put yourself where you want yourself to be. And then people will start looking at you in that light. So if you want to be outgoing, continue to be outgoing. and let people see that COVID won't slow you down. I've always been kind of a competitive person, so I always try to use everybody's competitive edge. Like whatever you can strive for in your competitive edge, if you have a competitive edge at all, use it with COVID. COVID will not win. I will not lose to COVID. I literally feel like we're in the fourth quarter right now. And my coach used to tell me, I know you're tired, Crystal, but they're more tired. And I'm like, you're right, they are, let's go. And that was all it took, was for her to tell me that they're more tired, and I just believed it, and I just took off. And I mean, there were times where I would have muscle cramps in the locker room like minutes later when the fourth quarter was over. But it was because I wasn't about to let me being tired consume me. And that's kind of where we're at. We're all tired. We're all tired of this. But COVID's the one that will end up losing all of this. Like we have too many good brains out there. I'm not one of them. There's a lot of amazing scientists out there and research people and doctors, and they're working so hard for us to win this battle. And we can come together in just this part. We'll let them do that hard brain work, and we'll just do this part. We'll come together and stay strong because we can get through it. We're in the fourth quarter. COVID's tighter than us. I'm the coach, if you caught that. But COVID's tighter than us. We have to stay strong. The other thing is I tell people to create like a cheat sheet on what you want out of this year, out of this month, out of this week, out of today. Be realistic, but what do you want out of it? If you don't have anything, well then you're not winning, but you're not losing, I guess. But you're just kind of stagnant. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. That's what I think a coach told me that too. But it's true. Like we want to keep moving forward. You know, if we stop, things will consume us, and it's odds are it won't be the good things. When your brain slows down, it doesn't think about all the positive things unless you make it. It will always go to worst case scenarios. It's designed that way on purpose. Go all the way back to caveman times. You want to survive. So when you stop and you think, your brain's going to say, FYI, this could happen and it'd be really bad, so you got to be prepared. Remember last time you went in that cave and there was a bear? Don't go in the cave this time, you'll die. And they didn't go in the cave the next time, right? Because their brain said don't. They knew there's a possible bad scenario coming. Your brain does it to protect you. But fast forward now, we don't need that stuff. But our brain still does it to protect us. So we have to force ourselves to also see the positives. We have to force ourselves to not let our anxieties get out of control, because they will. I can literally lay in bed and just head down a rabbit hole of all the places that a fire could start in my house, and which kid I should get first, and which window we should go out of, and at what point should I jump out the back window? Like, should I wrap him in a blanket first? Like, it can go like that. But why? Why make myself go down that rabbit hole all the time? But you can do it. Force yourself to stop. Find the positives. Write a cheat sheet of the positives if you have to. I'm all about cheat sheets, because if your brain doesn't do it on its own, when you get into a survival mode, that part of your brain shuts off. Your frontal lobe doesn't work as well. That's why you don't have abstract thinking. That's why you go to concrete thinking. That's why you go as far as down to survival in the moment mode. That's your brainstem kicking in. If you have a cheat sheet, you can still read. You might not be able to get the thought yourself, but you can still read. Every one of my depressed clients has a tiny notebook. It's about this big, and they're to keep it on themselves at all times. And it's called Why is Tomorrow a Good Idea Notebook? And I have them put the title on it for sure, because it's a long title. It's kind of funny to watch them write the whole thing. But in that notebook, on a good day, they write in it. And they write everything from I love ice cream to my parents love me, to I have 3 children that love me, to I can't imagine not ever having nachos again. Like, whatever in there will trigger a good memory, they write it in that notebook. And on their bad days, that fog comes over them, and they can't see all those things, because depression does that. It creates a fog. And People who commit suicide, there's all kinds of talk about it, of course, like, oh, it's such a selfish move. Can't they see they have children that love them? No, they can't. They can't see it. There's a fog in front of them. They can't see beyond that fog sometimes, but they can still read. And to this day, it's only that I know of saved one life, but one life's an amazing life to save. I had a client come in and she said, Crystal, you'll never guess what happened. And I'm like, probably not. And she sat down, she threw that notebook down and she said, I didn't get on I-35 and kill myself. And I was like, what? She's like, I read it and I read it and I read it, and then I read my son's name. And I thought, not that she didn't want to die, but that she didn't know if her son was in a vehicle possibly that she would hit. I'm like, hey, it's a win. To me, that's a win. You didn't die today. So we're going to use that, but we're going to get you some more help. But it saved her life. Eventually, that name came through the fog. That name triggered something that said, nope, not today. I can do this another day. And that's what that's what these cheat sheets are. They're not, I use them for depression, I use them for anxiety, but your brain, when it starts shutting down, you can still read. So read your cheat sheets. On your bad days, read your cheat sheets. On your worried days, read your cheat sheets. Create them for everything if you want to. It's like a mental health grocery list kind of thing. You write grocery lists, why wouldn't you write lists of things to remember that make you feel better? It's the same thing. Did I fix everybody? Does everybody feel better? No, I'm aware it's a lot of work. There's no answer out there. I can't come in with the best of the best, but I can tell you that everybody's fighting it. Keep fighting it. Don't give up. Don't let the anxiety consume you. Don't let the loneliness overtake your days. Fight it. COVID's tighter than us. And if we can come together, we can lean on each other. Anybody got questions? I think we're about done, but yes. Uh-huh. Right. Oh, man. Neither's good. Neither's great. But so my clients that I've had a rapport with for a long time, they do better over Zoom because they can see my face, I can see their face. They feel more comfortable over Zoom right now. My new clients, they're itching to get back into the office, which I'm going back into the office next week, and I'm so excited. We're still going to wear masks, but I'm going to sit my newer clients in my head. I'm going to sit my newer clients farther away from me, and I'm going to let them take their mask off, and I'm going to keep my mask on. Or if they feel better, more comfortable, vice versa. But I'm going to try, and this is just me processing out loud. I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm going to try to do at least one facial recognition. If we can at least have one side of it, that's going to be better than what we were doing, because you miss a whole bunch in therapy if you don't have nonverbal and verbal cues to go off of. I literally had a couples therapy session the other day where they were meeting in different locations. I'm like, oh, there's 3 windows. You guys aren't even together. This is going to be challenging, because I get so much from, do they touch each other? How close are they? Like, do they make eye contact? Does he pull the hair out of her face? Like, what kind of motions do they give each other? I get so much from that. I didn't realize till the session was over, though. I'm like, wow, I'm at a real disadvantage right now. It's hard. It's way harder. And then I have COVID, and they're like, so what should I do? And I'm like, well, I can't take COVID away. Sorry. It's a challenge for everybody. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks. If you look on your table there, and those of you guys that are online, I guess I'm still on camera, so I need to get over here. If you're online watching this, there's a plan that she has to try to either create a class to kind of talk more about some of these tips and tricks and talk about the journal and the checklist and all that kind of stuff. or she's willing to set up a support group for those that just want to conversate, just to talk about some of the day's ins and outs and the difficulties. So if you're interested in any of that, those are the cards there. You can write your name down and the contact information and then just check what you need. And then she'll be in contact with you to kind of start working through that process, okay? Really appreciate you coming, and let's pray. God, we love you very much for all that you do for us, and the things that you are what we need. You are higher than us. You're stronger than us. You're smarter than us. And as we struggle through this life, let us never forget that you are the one that gave us this life. And as we work to understand some of the difficulties that we face, help us to remember that you have overcome the most difficult part of our life, which is our sin. And that you're there. You're called Counselor in the Old Testament because you want to help us through that. And as we struggle with all the things that are in this world, help us to remember that you created this world for us to enjoy. It is here for a reason, and that is here for us to live and to thrive and to fill, like the scripture said, to team with life. We are supposed to be happy here. We're supposed to work to enjoy it. And when we connect with you, we can enjoy it even more. I just thank you for all that you've done for us. And as we dismiss, that you would help us to remember how we can be an assistance to other people as we deal through this difficult day and this last year. Thank you for everything you do. In Jesus' name, amen.